everyone, and welcome to Time and Money Mastery. We are your co-hosts. I'm Indiana.
And I'm Sam. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our episodes. Now, let's get started. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Time and Money Mastery. It's your co-host Sam here, and today's episode is all about the science of celebration. Now, if you want to attract and create more things, more reasons to celebrate in your life, then stick with me because I am going to show you how. But first, I have a question for you. How often do you celebrate your success? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely was not celebrating as much as I could have. There were and still are so many reasons I can be celebrating. But back before I started being intentional with my celebration, there were very few things that felt worthy of celebration, which now that I think about it feels absolutely crazy. But let me take you through a bit of a journey as to where I was before and where I am now, so that you can kind of see how celebration has really changed my life. Now, like most type A go-getter types, I have pretty high expectations of myself. I set huge goals to stretch myself, and I am constantly challenging my own definition of my best self. But like a lot of type A go-getter types, I started to run into overwhelm and burnout. And I saw my exhaustion and discontentment as a sign that there was something wrong with me, rather than as a sign that something might need to change in how I operate, how I live my life, or even have a little bit of a perspective shift on what was going on in my life. Now, I fully believed that even though I was feeling overwhelmed, even though I was feeling burnt out, that I just needed to keep pushing, that if I truly wanted that next level of success, I needed to do what I'd never done before. And I'll be honest with you, all of those statements kind of have some truth to it. But the reason why overwhelm and burnout was such a big issue in my life and had such severe consequences was because they weren't balanced out with equal parts of celebration. Now, at this point, you might be shaking your head at me thinking, yeah, okay, Sam, like it might be important, but surely celebration isn't that important. But I would argue that intentional celebration is one of the most important keys to success. Now, I do have a little disclaimer. When I first started looking into the science of celebration and why it was important, a part of me kind of felt like, well, if I celebrate everything, then nothing will feel special anymore. If I celebrated the small things, then when something big happened and I celebrated, it would be like, oh, it's like exactly the same thing. But what's absolutely crazy is that getting up out of bed in the morning is cause for celebration. Waking up to a brand new day is celebration, is reason for celebration, I should say. Opening your eyes, taking a deep breath in, being able to have choices with what you do with your time. There are so many reasons to celebrate, and none of that, celebrating any of that, hasn't taken away from my ability to fully enjoy the celebration when we started this podcast, or when we hit milestones in our podcast, or when I interview some incredible people, or when I reach a financial goal in my business, or any of the other incredible goals that I've set for myself. When I achieve those, I've noticed that celebrating those don't feel any less special just because I've started to celebrate little things like being able to enjoy the sun on a day where the last week it had just been raining constantly. And that was just a bit of a disclaimer for you guys, because when I first started looking into this, I was literally terrified of, if I started celebrating the little things, then the big things wouldn't feel so special. And so if you're in that boat and you're wanting to switch off at this point, I urge you to continue on. Just listen to the end of this podcast episode, because my experience might be able to shed some light on why celebration is so important, no matter what, whether you're celebrating small things or big things. Now, let me take you through why celebration, I believe, is one of the most important keys to success. So, reason number one is that celebrating is good for your health. Now, it's not a secret that feeling good is good for you, but an incredible life-changing tool that we have available to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is also free most of the time as well, is also one that very few people actually utilize to its fullest potential. And that tool is celebration. Now, I have mentioned on this podcast before that I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. I just need to another little disclaimer. I am not a healthcare professional. I am not a certified psychologist. So all of the information that I'm sharing here is just based on my own experience, based on my research. But please, 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 if I'm saying any of these things wrong and you know for a fact that I am wrong, please shoot me a DM so that I can correct myself and make sure that the information I'm putting out there is correct. So just a little bit of disclaimer, but let's keep going. Now, articles in psychology journals and on websites like Psychology Today have found so many neurochemical benefits to celebrating. Now, for those of you who want to switch off at that sciencey word, it's basically just the ways that celebrating positively impacts our brain. So, for example, celebrating increases our levels of oxytocin and increases our endorphins. So these often help us feel secure and safe. They can help us take responsible risks and also learn how to adapt to challenges. Now, celebrating also increases our levels of serotonin, which helps us focus, can help increase motivation, and also allows us to use stress to our advantage. Now, seriously, take a second to imagine what kind of life you could be living if you were able to take responsible risks, and you weren't overthinking them literally 24 hours a day. If you were able to adapt to challenges, if you were able to focus on important tasks, if you were able to increase your motivation, or my favorite, use stress to your advantage. There is so much that can be done when you are able to do these things, so many incredible opportunities out there that you might not be able to do if you weren't comfortable taking responsible risks, or if you weren't sure how to adapt to challenges, or if you were never motivated, or you didn't know how to use stress to your advantage. But the great thing is that celebrating puts you on the path to being able to do all of that. Now, that is only reason number one. Reason number two why I believe celebration is one of the most important keys for success is that when something feels good, we want more of it. Now, you might have heard about the law of attraction, but did you know that there is actually some very tangible science that backs up the premise of the law of attraction? So this is from my understanding of it as well. Obviously, there are people that are a lot more informed about, psychology and the law of attraction and manifestation and all of that stuff. So I'm just going to speak to my experience. In saying that, if you're not already familiar with it, our RAS, or reticular activating system, is the physiological part of us that helps us choose what to focus on. It's the part of our brain that helps us decipher from the literally millions of potential things we could be paying attention to, what it is we choose to notice at any given time. So we could literally at any second, right now, you could be focusing on the temperature of where you are, of your breath. You could be focusing on an ache in your foot or something that someone is saying across the room. Now, what our RAS does is that it filters through all of these things that are happening around us to help us focus on what's most relevant and what's most important to us. Have you ever been sitting in a crowded cafe or in a mall and you feel like someone's hurt, says your name, and you can hear it despite the fact there's so much going on around you? That's your reticular activating system at work. It knows and recognizes that your name is something important to you. So it filters through all the stimuli to actually help you notice when someone says your name. A great way of thinking about this is targeted ads on Facebook and Instagram. After you talk about something once or you search it up on Google, all of a sudden there are just so many ads on Facebook and Instagram, on Google, you feel like you hear someone talking about it on the radio, or another friend says something about it. That is basically our reticular activating system. Our RAS helps us notice and focus on what it believes is important to you. Now, here is the problem with this, is that so many of us tend to focus on what feels bad. So many of us tend to focus on the fact that, we're not doing enough, or feeling like we're in such a rush that we don't have time to celebrate. And when we do this, we are basically signaling to our brain, to our subconscious mind, to God, to the universe, that this is what's important, that feeling bad is what's important, that I don't have time to celebrate. So don't give me reasons to celebrate. That is literally what we are telling our reticular activating system, to the point that if there are reasons to celebrate around you, your RAS won't help you notice those things. It will only help you notice the things that make you feel bad, or make you feel like you're not doing enough, or make you feel like you're in such a rush. It sounds so crazy, but I have literally experienced this in my everyday life. So I know that this is true. It's no wonder that when we feel stressed, we seem to notice more reasons to feel stressed, but when we're really, really happy, even though there are other things that could stress us out, we tend to focus on the positive and focus on what makes us happier. When we focus on how difficult a task is, we keep finding reasons why it's more difficult. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the law of attraction works in both ways. It can work in this disempowering, like defeatist way, or it could work in the other, more empowering way. There's a guy by the name of Wolfram Schultz, not sure if I'm saying that right, from the University of Cambridge, who used his study to show that when something feels really good, you go back for it again. So basically, when we celebrate our results, when we celebrate all that is good in our life, when we celebrate the things that we love and that we enjoy, we are signaling our brain to do it again and do more of it, because it's worth celebrating, and celebrating feels good. So for example, if you wake up early and you celebrate the fact that you wake up early, your brain will literally signal to yourself, oh my gosh, like waking up early makes her feel good. I want to feel good more. I'm going to wake up early, like more often. But have you noticed that when you wake up early and you're like, oh, this is horrible, I need to go back to sleep, I'm so tired, waking up early sucks, you're not going to want to wake up early, because your brain is thinking, oh, waking up early does not feel good, let's not do that anymore. And so Schultz basically said that celebration is our reward to our brain, in the same way that treats work as a reward for animals. So by celebrating more, we attach rewards and happiness to the actions and behaviors, the thoughts and experiences that we are celebrating. It's the whole basis of the law of attraction. You attract what you focus on. And if you focus on all the things that are worth celebrating, you will naturally want to do more of it. Absolutely crazy, right? But anyway, that's only reason number 2. Reason number 3, why I wholeheartedly believe that celebration is one of the major keys to success, is that you have the opportunity to share it around. Bringing your friends and family into celebration is an awesome way to increase that, celebration energy in your life. This can also encourage them to share their celebrations with you and allow you to bring more joy into your own life. When my brother or sister, my mom or my boyfriend, my friends, like clients, when they have wins and they share it with me, I feel so unbelievably excited too, almost as if it was me experiencing it. Like my brother has a win in a basketball game. I didn't win that, but I feel just as excited, or maybe even more excited than he does about winning it, because we're sharing that celebration around. And so if you have something worth celebrating, share it with the people that you love, because you can also bring joy into their lives, and you don't know if that's, exactly what they need to get through the day. Celebrating other people's success is also a great opportunity to validate that their success is possible for you too. I've spoken to so many people in the entrepreneurial space and not in that space, who, when someone else succeeds, they're like, oh, they've already done it, like I'll never be able to do it. But when I see other people succeed, I'm like, damn, they were able to do it, that means I'll be able to do it too. And it gets super exciting. And so being able to celebrate what other people are experiencing can help you see what's possible for you too. When I celebrate the achievements and the happiness of the people around me, especially those who've pulled off something that I haven't been able to do yet, it gives me so much hope, and it lights a fire in my belly, because I'm like, okay, now I want it too. Now, I do have a little bit of a note here. They say that joy shared is joy doubled. But just make sure that you're careful with who you choose to share your celebrations with. The sad truth of it is that not everyone in your life will be happy about your success. Not everyone in your life will be happy about your celebration. So be cautious with who you choose to share your good news with. And it's really interesting as well because you'll be able to see the people who truly love you and truly care about you based on their responses to your celebration. So for me personally, there are people in my life that I love dearly, but when I tell them about positive things in my life, the first thing they think about is what could possibly go wrong. So I know for myself, not that I would get angry at them, but I know for myself, okay, I'm going to keep this to myself until it's in a place where I can hear their for lack of a better term, criticism or concerns without feeling down myself. So it's really important to note that just because you're feeling happy and you want to share it with people, that that you don't just go out and do it. Do have some time, take some time to reflect on who the best people to share these things with are, because the last thing you want to do is share your celebration for someone to put you down and put a damper on it, because then you're just attaching sadness and loneliness and feelings of isolation to celebration. And that's not what we want at all. So there you have it. If you want more things to celebrate in your life, the key is to celebrate all the reasons you already have to celebrate. By using the neurological benefits, the law of attraction, and the joy of shared celebration to your advantage, not only will we be able to enjoy some more high vibes, but we'll also be primed to attract more reasons to celebrate in our life. Now you know why you should be celebrating, but here is another struggle that I really struggled with when I was going through this journey myself. And it's that most people don't prioritize celebration until it feels like it's deserved. Now, I mentioned this a bit earlier on the podcast, but I'm going to do a bit more of a deep dive here. Now, I don't know about you, but there have been many times in my life when I feel like I could be doing more. When I felt like what I did wasn't as good as what I could have done. And that kind of stops me from celebrating what I was actually able to achieve. So, for example, I used to set this huge goal of, I don't know, finishing and this is high school days, finishing my English essay that night. And if I literally was only able to get 3 paragraphs done, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, at least I did 3 paragraphs. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. I didn't finish the whole essay. It didn't feel like it was worth celebrating even doing those 3 paragraphs because I didn't actually finish the whole thing. Now, if you're anything like me, then it's likely that you choose not to celebrate your achievements, your experiences, or your life because you're so focused on the next thing you're trying to achieve. Now, this is where an intentional celebration practice comes in handy. When I didn't start celebrating regularly enough until I improved my relationship with celebration and my perspective on what deserves celebrating. So, have you ever heard of that quote, any day above ground is like a good day? Sometimes it's enough to celebrate the fact that you're here, that you woke up today, and that you're alive. And so, yes, I will never stop striving to accomplish things and to experience things that I feel are worthy of big celebration. And at the same time, having an intentional celebration practice doesn't mean that I'll stop striving for greater things. It just means that I will choose to find a reason every single day to celebrate. And while that sounds a lot like a gratitude practice, the difference here is that I actually have a list of ways that I can choose to celebrate to ensure that not a day goes by where I don't celebrate something incredible in my life. So making sure to celebrate what I already have is the guaranteed way to ensure I will always have something to celebrate. So before we wrap up this episode, I want to share with you some of the ways that I choose to celebrate. Now, some of these might seem unbelievably simple. However, when I implemented these into my life, I started to see and feel and experience some incredible results in my life, because being in a state of celebration always makes me feel powerful and grateful and limitless and unbelievably blessed. So, some things that I do to celebrate: I will take a nap. Now that sounds so funny, but seriously, if I for a job well done, I'm like, you know what? I deserve a nap. I'm going to take a nap. And I actually do that without feeling guilty, without thinking, oh, I'm just tired. I don't actually deserve celebration. I make sure to think, damn, look at me go. I'm going to take a nap. Number 2 on my list is to watch a movie. Now, back in the day would be to watch it in the cinemas. I don't do that as much anymore, but watching online, binging something on Disney Plus for a while with the intention, like the actual intention of celebrating what I've done, not like a avoidance practice where I'm like, oh, I have so much to do, but I'm going to celebrate and watch Disney Plus for a while and just do that because I deserve celebration. No, I actually know in my heart, you know what? I did really well today. I'm going to watch 3 episodes, no guilt allowed. I'm just going to enjoy this because I deserve it. Other things on my list is to bake a cake, to plan brunch with some friends, booking a massage. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorites, but I don't do that as much anymore because I'm trying to save for a house. So, once things like get going and I can like start doing that again, that's going to be like my high ticket, like celebration practice. Sometimes I play music, like whether I play it through my headphones and have a little karaoke session, or whether I grab a guitar or sit at the piano and have a little, live music session on my own. Sometimes I look through old photos, especially from previous holidays. Our photos from Hawaii and Japan always put me in incredible state. Like, even though we can't travel right now, even though I get really sad that our travel plans from last year got canceled, anytime I go through our photos and our videos, I'm automatically so much happier. And so that's always a great way to celebrate. I also listen to podcasts. I'm not just saying that to get you guys to listen to our podcast. Like, I love listening to other people's podcasts. They make me feel inspired and motivated and so excited for life, because it helps me remember that I have the opportunity to make decisions to change anything in my life. And so if that's not cause for celebration, I don't know what is. So if you're getting excited to start celebrating right away, I have some celebration bingo cards. Yes, I know, sounds a bit lame, but I love bingo. And so it was a great way to motivate myself to actually celebrate and to try different things to celebrate as well. So I wasn't just doing the same thing over and over again. So I wasn't just like, oh, job well done, I'm going to take a nap, and then my whole week is just me napping. I did these bingo cards to make sure I was actually trying other things. So you can download that through the link in the show notes, which will give you a little bit more of an incentive to celebrate. Now, if you do choose to use any of these items, or if you feel like this episode is really resonating with you, make sure you tag us on Instagram at Time Money Mastery, showing us how you celebrate so that we can celebrate with you. But until then, I hope you guys take care, and we'll see you soon.
So that's a wrap. If you loved today's episode, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and let us know why you loved it.
If you know someone who needs to hear this, then send it their way and share it to your stories, tagging us at Time Money Mastery.
Feel like you're wanting just a little more? Jump on over to our Facebook community. You can find the link in the show notes.
That's all from us today, fam. We'll see you soon.